And I've had other people that were like, no, we're not going to take our church there because we don't like Satan. And Satan is playing bass for the Newsboys. Hello, everyone. Today is TikTok again. Once more.
How?
As I was doing that, I was like, I don't know who I'm impersonating or what kind of group of people.
My name's Keith.
My name's Brandon. Sometimes, Keith, when we start recording these, the music is playing in my head.
That's what throws you off.
And it gets stuck. Yeah, so right now I know it's like, okay, it's fading now. Then it's like, now our names are here, the topic's here. As you can see, our topic today is WinterJam. The giant tour put on my new song every year.
Yes.
It's Christian artist. It is, I think, right, is it now $15 at the door?
I think it has gone up in price.
So
yes.
$15, but still you're getting anywhere from 8 to like 13 artists.
Yep.
You're getting a good like 6 o'clock to like 10:30 at night. So you're getting a huge chunk, a lot of artists, a lot of music.
It's a lot of entertainment for $15.
Yeah.
No doubt. By volume.
Yeah, a great deal in the industry. Today though, we're sitting down and to talk about, is WinterJam good or is it a not so good thing? Because I've even had people that I know and respect been on both sides of it.
Sure.
Where they're very much like, man, this is awesome. I know you from me growing up. I was like, I saw people that normally maybe not would say, I'll go to a Christian concert, but they started thinking, oh, I like Skillet, so I guess I'll go. And they're like, I don't want to pay $60 to see Skillet, but I want to pay $10 too.
I definitely loved it growing up, for sure.
And I've had other people that were like, no, we're not going to take our church there because we don't like Satan. And Satan is playing bass for the Newsboys.
Whoever that poor guy is, I hope he's not watching.
The bass, Jody Davis would be him.
Jody.
He's a good guy.
Sorry, Jody.
I don't know him. So what we did for this one is I've chosen an article online that is very pro WinterJam, an article that is very negative WinterJam. I tried to find articles too that I think represented how people felt.
Sure. Maybe
more so than actually finding someone who's like, here's statistically why it's bad or whatever. Okay. So we're going to share you the two articles, present some evidence to you, share our opinion. Then at the end, you can let us know how you feel. And we'll tell you how and where to leave those comments at.
That's right.
So to begin with, here's the pros. It comes from newreleasetoday.com, a cool little Christian website that's like built by
today
people.
Or Tuesday?
It used to be Tuesday, but now it's today because albums now come out on Fridays instead of Tuesday.
Okay, cool.
It's a great website. I've been on there for
a long time.
Yeah, I think I first joined maybe in 2008.
I was about to say, ever since I've known you, you've talked about New Release Tuesday.
So it's grown to a giant thing too. So I'm not on there as much now, but it's just a really cool website that allows the people to build it. So that's our cheap plug. Keith McNeese, I expect that money. Yeah, his name might be Kevin. Keith McNeese might just be another.
Yeah, Mr. McNeese, we expect that money.
Mr. McNeese from Lobster Fest. So here's the 10 things you need to know about the best night in CCM. Well, Keith, I feel like right now, I don't know if you're on board with this article so far.
I don't want to be painted as like a WinterJam curmudgeon. We've talked about it. I have my qualms, and we'll get there.
Well,
it's pro time.
I think you represent a lot of people who are watching this. Probably when they heard that, they were like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this article. So this is New Release Today's JJ Francesco, shares the highlights of Christian's biggest tour. And this is from the 2016 WinterJam.
Okay.
So this one, I'm just going to go through because it's the 10 things you need to know. Number 1, it's a sampler of the best. This year it was Rock was Red, Pop Sidewalk Prophets, Worship Lauren Daigle. He even said that New Song and Crowder gave us a dose of country charm. I don't know if New Song's country, but we'll let that slide. Crowder, he makes up for it.
Yeah,
Crowder, he's got a beard.
He has his own weird kind of strange genre that bounces back and forth. But yeah, he's definitely in that country zone at times.
Number 2, merch deals. Odds are the artist has a jaw-dropping good deal going on to help you take some music home. Number 3, fresh faces. The pre-jam party allows you to see some newer artists. I think they get about 10 to 15 minutes. Number 4, commercials with purpose. A night like WinterJam doesn't come to pass without lots of sponsors, but even these help add to the feel of the night. They even said that there were some sneak peeks of coming Christian films like Priceless and the Sure to Make Waves God's Not Dead 2.
It was sure to make waves.
Number 5, top-notch special effects. They said that a good number of artists added some pizzazz to their sets with some creative visual aids. Number 6, testimonies to rock your world. They shared about the people sharing their testimonies throughout the night, as well as I think while the pre-jam's going on, they do a little thing for youth pastors.
Yeah, they do that. Yes.
Where you'll have like a Matthew West or Michael Tate or someone share a little bit about the evening. Number 7, there will be mingling. You'll see some artists come together that normally wouldn't.
There will be mingling.
Read that, I was like, I guess you do. Like, how do you do?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the Newsboys as well?
I'm hoping they're not trying to replace that. There will be blood. There will be mingling.
The music is just plain good. Is reason number 8, or the thing you need to know. It was great hearing some terrific radio songs like Prodigal, Take Me Over, or Rise My Love. Number 9, Rise of the Small Bones. The guy talked about how much he loved King and country.
Yeah.
And how they had first started out in... It didn't have the year they started off, but I remember going to the one where they first were out there.
Yeah,
and you can kind of be like, okay, these people are probably going to be a big deal in a couple of years.
Probably going to be a big deal.
And finally, number 10, still $10 a pop. For this year, it was $10, 10 artists, and one incredible night of music.
Mm-hmm.
As we've said, it's went up in price, but still, if you look at your average concert, like if you're going to, especially a stadium,
oh, yeah.
Like I remember we wanted to go to Need to Breathe, and I think the cheapest tickets were like $60.
Oh yeah,
and that's Need to Breathe, and then like one other like pretty big artist. Then you're getting like 2 smaller artists. Yeah. You know, so you're getting a bang for your buck.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's going to come to you and give you, I think, price as a point of contention on that for sure.
So those are 10 things you need to know. I feel like that article gave some pros to WinterJam, and I think that your average person would probably name a handful of those.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, I could list off those. I think many of those as the benefits probably.
So the cons, there wasn't a lot of things out there that were very negative at WinterJam. Well, a lot of the stuff I ran into, it was more of like, that's stupid that Christians have their concert.
Right, yeah.
So,
that's not the kind of criticism we're looking for.
So this one, it was for blogspot.com. And it was a blog entitled Life and Times, and it was WinterJam in a nutshell. I couldn't really find the guy's name in this, but he wrote it, and he was talking about his, like, how much his daughter wanted to go, so he wanted to go with her. And it was more of a lengthy read. It was a really good read, but I kind of just narrowed it down to his, 3 biggest points. Yeah. He was saying, number 1, the ticket system is just difficult for the concert goer. He was like, they had to stand in line for hours and hours, and then he got to the point where hundreds of people were turned away because they had too many people there. So he was like, even though he likes the idea of, okay, it's cheap or whatever for people to go, it also creates, now people have to stand there for hours.
Yeah, that's true. When it's cheap for you to go, you can bring your whole bus full of 30 kids.
Yeah.
So.
And now, like, they do have where you can do, like, the VIP thing where you pay more and go there, but now that brings you back to the point of you're paying $40 for the ticket.
Right. So
still arguably a deal, but less of a deal if you're paying $40 instead of your $10 or $15. Secondly, advertisement after advertisement. He said that he felt like the constant barrage of advertisements went from begging to being on the verge of shaming you into giving. And I think even going there, it was a lot of like, here's 1 or 2 cool things, but it's like, you need to go and support this movie, because if you don't, God might die.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was like a very much like, very high stakes, where it's like, oh, I thought we just had like Family Force 5 singing some happy songs. Yeah. Now it's like, you need to buy this, or like, are your potatoes grown by a Christian? Well, I grow potatoes.
There's a lot of that. Text your friends. God's not dead.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. I mean, you could, I guess.
Entertainment evangelism is he said that he had read someone else put it, but he just said that he felt like the call to action or the testimony by Tony Nolan, he was like, it kind of just came across as, yay God, now recite the sinner's prayer and you're saved.
Right.
And he just felt like that there isn't a lot of depth to it, and it's more of like, just get saved. Just say this.
Yeah.
And
our numbers can go up.
You're good. Yeah. So he just felt like that it came across as not as in depth. And I think he kind of felt that with like some of the like artist sets and all, where he was like, you didn't have that going there.
Yeah.
Now he said that it was obviously he's an adult, so he was like, maybe this is just a lot more fun if you're younger. He was like, his daughter really enjoyed it, you know. But those are just kind of like two sides of the pros and cons, where I feel like you have with your new release Tuesday.com, you know, people in that camp is, man, this is awesome. You've got a great thing. It's cheap. People are getting in the door. It's easy to sit there and say, hey, come to this concert, instead of, hey, come to my church with 40 people and the weird guy in the back that's going to shake your hand.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, it's, okay, this is a Christian show, but, you know, when you're having all this flash and all this, is there really substance there? Because it kind of seems like people are getting up there, but are people really leaving there and being on fire for God? Or are people that are there that are unsaved, are they really leaving there saying, man, I want to pursue this now? You know, now going to church. Like, what's the follow-up to that? So I guess now we'll open the door to Keith and I. We both have experience, like, in youth ministry. We have experience as being youth in ministry.
Yes, right.
What are your thoughts on WinterJam?
I'm leaning more to the con side, honestly. I mean, it depends on the message, right? It depends on the message that you as an event set up. If you come to me and say, this is a worship experience, we want you to come, we want your children to get saved, we want to give you, you know, these kind of things, I think that's not the message that they put across. I think it's a message that they definitely try to paint over the top of it. Like you said, with that testimony and everything. Like, I think over the top of what's underneath, I think they try to paint over like, no, this is about your salvation. This is important. And I don't think they're intentionally being misleading. Yeah. But I think there's just the whole idea of a Christian faith, which is just hinges on not holding tightly to the things of the world, that hinges on meekness, that hinges on being lesser, the last will be first, that hinges on those kind of things. It's very hard for me to get up and hear that message from someone who wears like a bright silver jacket and has a camera on their face while they told me I'm about to sing about Jesus. Close your eyes and think about Jesus. Yeah. I think there's mixed messages, and I think whether they know it or not, it is confusing even for kids, because you think like, oh, Christianity is rock and roll and mohawks and spinning drum sets and flashing lights. Like, that's sure, it's not, you're not a fuddy-duddy when you become a Christian or whatever, but also that type of thing is not necessarily emblematic of the Christian life. I've never spun in a drum set in my daily walkings as, living my Christian life. Not to say that it will never happen, but I just think there's mixed messages going on. If they want to say this is just a clean concert, this will just be a clean concert. There'll be Christian themes, but we're here to entertain. But as far as like we're here to change your life, I just think WinterJam is not capable necessarily. And if you're out there and your life has been changed by WinterJam, I'm not saying that it is impossible. Yeah. But I think it's highly unlikely that the number of people who raise their hands and say, I'd like to be saved tonight, I would wager 5% of those people actually do have a real encounter with Jesus that leads to their salvation. Only because that's a decision that is definitely can be emotionally driven. Yeah. The more fog and the more mood music you have, the easier it is for someone to get emotional. So I just lean on the side of the gate is small, the way is narrow, and I think sometimes it takes a little bit more actually active evangelism. And I've talked a long time. What do you think, Brandon?
WinterJam, I feel like if I don't go to it, it's usually more of the lineup than the actual show itself. And I know some critiques have been like, well, you shouldn't have this focus on the artist or whatever. Being someone who, like, one of my favorite artists of all time is Toby Mac. And I feel like he's almost the epitome of a Christian singer who's like, oh, there's style, there's all these like antics going on with the show and all. Sure. And I think that's good because you have people out there that are Christians and they're young and they sit there and they think, when I grow up, I want to be an actor or I want to be an artist or something. And their parents tell them, that's not a real job. Or it's like, no, if you want to serve God, you become a pastor. If not, you just go work it, wherever. And I think that it's good when people have examples of, no, like, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that, nope, you got to go buy all your clothes from Walmart or, sure. Like, you can't do that. So I think that it's cool that you have those examples of, no, you can be a Christian and you can sit there, you know, famous for like have fun or whatever. But my problem with like these traveling things that bring people in is that you hype up Christianity so much to the point of people who leave there and they're like energetic. I sit there and I think that, you know, when I first went there, I was going to a little church of probably about 15 people there. And even, you know, now we go to a church probably about 100, 120. You know, for the area, it's a fairly large church. But when you go from WinterJam and come back there, we don't have no fog machines. We don't have a spotlight on you when you sing. If you go up there and you start trying to rap, most people in there are gonna be like, "What is he saying? Like, why is he talking so fast?" And
why is he talking so fast?
So I think that now you have kids that are like, "This isn't a Christian church. I need to go somewhere else." So then they go to a giant church, and that's the same thing. That kind of the larger you are, that like you can't go as deep. And I think a lot of times it's good intentions because it's like, well, don't you want people in there? Don't you want to get them? And then once you have them in, you can teach them more. But I think that you're going to have a lot of people that just have the base. And if you're a non-believer, you sit there and you think, that's stupid. Because there's a lot of people that we both went to college to that at like the ministries there. And it's not like, you know, saying anything bad about anyone who leads ministries there. But I can go right now on like my list of friends or like my contacts on my phone, and I can give you person after person that they went to WinterJams, they went to conferences, they were singing in the band, and now 2 years removed from college, they're an atheist.
Right.
Like a very ardent atheist. And I think that if you're not careful, you know, and I think almost maybe too that a lot of the artists in their defense would not tell you that this is church. Because I know, like, you have your Rich Mullins that would be like, don't look at us as artists and think. He's like, you need to be at church. You need to ask your pastor. You don't need to look and say, let me read this interview of what my favorite artist said.
I think that's kind of where my qualm is that it's a like you said, I agree with you. I think it's important for Christian people who are Christians to see like, the 3-piece suit is not necessarily a requirement for being close to God. I'm down with that. And looking at Toby Mac, I'm not a huge Toby Mac fan, but I understand your point that for me as a Christian person, it is nice to see that, yes, Christian people can be entertaining. They can have fun. They can enjoy life.
There can be diversity, if I may.
Right, yes, diversity. That's a nice plug for that album. But as far as bringing new people in, I think it can be misleading. And as well, I think a lot of times, just with any WinterJam aside, any large, well-paid, huge Christian band that just, you know, draws people like any secular band, I think it's a low-fat yogurt situation. Yeah. There's a Seinfeld episode about low-fat yogurt, and it's the idea that this yogurt's non-fat, right? And so people are like, oh, there's no fat in this yogurt. I can eat as much as I want. And then you end up like people get obese on this yogurt, and it's like, wait a second. What about this yogurt is supposed to not make me fat? Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't have any fat in it. It's still sugary, and it still will make you fat. And so I think the whole problem is that a lot of times we might treat Christian music as low-fat yogurt, saying like, well, I can survive on just this Christian music and not get my theology or not get my spiritual edification from anywhere else, and then we end up becoming obese Christians. So, not saying WinterJam will make you obese, but I think my point of view is what I said earlier.
That should be our tag, and people will watch it.
Yeah, I think
it should make you obese.
I think it's just it can be mixed messaging. Yeah. If you prepare yourself the right way when you go in there as a Christian person, I think it's good. You're good to go.
Yeah, and I mean, that I think as we both touched on, it boils down to the fan or the person going. It's not, like you said, turning it into this is my only source. Because that was also a thing that I saw with like people I mentioned before, is that that's their source. It's like, oh, I can't wait to go to like this conference in January because, man, I need some more refreshing. And it's like, you shouldn't just think like, oh, if I could just stay a Christian one more month, I'll have someone tell me why it's
right,
good.
Exactly. If you can't get refreshed at home, you don't have any business. Yeah. Only seeking that from the excitement. So because then it's just emotionally driven, right?
Yes, sir. Well. That's been our thoughts on WinterJam. What say you?
What say you? If we're wrong, light us up in the comments. dislikes are just as good as likes for getting this video to be seen by other people. You know, if you get upset.
But yeah, and we'd love to talk with you.
Yes.
I think that's one cool thing is that there's a lot of YouTube channels I've seen out there where if you disagree, now it's just like, well, let me put you in your place. But I think in our videos, it's been a thing where it's like, that's a good point you raise.
Yeah.
Because it's not at the end of the day, it's how do we get people who are young and they're Christians, how do we get them serious about their faith and excited?
Right.
If you're a non-believer, how do we introduce this awesome news to you?
Right.
And that's both sides what they're trying to do. You know, if you're pro WinterJam, you're like, I just want people to come to know God and to like...
Hopefully, yeah, that's their point of view.
And then if you're on the opposite side, you're like, no, I want you to go sit in that room with just that guy with his acoustic guitar, you know, and be full with the Spirit.
But talking about comments, if you do leave a mean comment, I will comment something sarcastic back at you. I promise you mine will be funny. I'm sorry.
There's your challenge,
There's
folks.
your challenge. If you're gonna be mean, try to be funny. At least you can beat us there. Oh man, Brandon, I've enjoyed it. We'll see you at WinterJam. Leave a comment and remember, we love you very much.
Yes, sir.